Well, good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Good. Let me tell you something. I've got a question for each and every one of us. Do you remember back in the day when maybe it was your parents or family members or friends, or maybe it was even you would take a trip somewhere and you would take all kinds of pictures while you were gone, and then when you came back, you made slides. You remember slides? We would make slides, and then you would have people over to your house for dinner, or your parents would make you eat dinner, and then they would take you into the room and they would show you every single picture that they took on that trip. Do you remember that?
Well, I not only remember, that was my family. My mom was a photographer, and she took pictures of everything. Occasionally she would bring other people, but she always had a captive audience in my brother and my sister and me and my dad, and we would have to sit there as she showed slide after slide, picture after picture after picture of all of our trips.
Now, my mom did the same thing. Now, we didn't have a projector. Maybe that's why I have such an obsession with projectors now, but we didn't have those when I was a kid. And what my mom did, we would sit in a room and she would pull out of a box picture after picture from a box that seemed to have endless pictures. Okay, it's like she just kept pulling them out. I'm thinking, where are these coming from? And she would tell story after story after story.
You know, I think it's funny how everyone sort of dreaded those times, but we do it all the time now, except it's called Facebook.
That's right. We take pictures of everything, and then we have a tendency to post them online, do we not? And we post them online for the whole world to see.
And you know, as I think back and I think about how we dreaded those times, about listening to Mom talk about all her pictures, I can remember how she would describe each and every one. And that brings me to the memories of that trip, how that trip went. The stories, the funny times, the great times that we had that came out of each one of those pictures.
That's true, and I remember getting different things from when my mom would do that, different lessons that came out of those trips as well. You know, God has a way of speaking through anything. He is God, and He can do just that. And I believe that we can hear from Him through our different experiences, through our different travels in life.
And sometimes the very, very ordinary. Some of you that I share Facebook pictures with may have seen one that I posted the other day, and it was actually at officers' councils where we were. I was eating my snack in devotions, and it was a dried apple slice in the shape of a heart, and I got the biggest kick out of that, so I took a picture of it. Well, later when I looked at the picture, of course, my Bible is behind it, and I noticed that in the little cutout there was the word love, and I thought, well, God's sending me a message here, and I got it. He speaks through very, very ordinary things, even apples.
You know, these next few weeks, we're going to be looking at a new series, and we're going to be thinking about some lessons that God has laid upon our hearts as we have done some traveling along. As we've traveled along the state of Florida this past summer, actually.
So go ahead, welcome to our home, sit right down. We're going to show a lot of slides. No, we're not going to show that many, but we will travel and show you some of our pictures from our trip through the next weeks, and we'll take a look at those. We're going to travel to St. Augustine, where we went, and we're going to take a look at the Fountain of Youth for the next 2 weeks. There we are. We're going to journey over to the lighthouse in St. Augustine. Do you know that it is the largest lighthouse that you are able to climb in Florida? And we did. Zach made me even get out of the thing once I climbed all 219 steps. And yes, you can't travel in Florida without stopping and taking pictures of some of the beaches.
You know, as we traveled along, God shared with us through our experiences. And we would like to share with you some of those things that He has shared with us during that time. And my hope and my prayer is this, is that as we travel along in this thing called life, that we be a people who know that God is with us every step of the way. And because of that, we have a God who desires to interact with us. He wants to teach us. He wants to show us things. And sometimes He does that through the very ordinary. Our God desires for us to be a people with eyes that are open to His creation, that are open to our experiences. Our God desires for us to have ears that are open so that we might be able to hear His voice, even through an apple. We can hear and be reminded of Him. Our God desires for us to be a people who have open hearts. You see, we are traveling along, are we not, in this thing called life. And the wonderful thing is that we have the best traveling companion there could ever be, that being our God.